G'day, folks. How you going? Welcome to another episode of Live Encounters Down Under. Hope everyone's doing great, fantastic, wherever you are at the moment. I hope you're having a great time and things are going well for you. But yeah, look, guys, welcome back. It's been a little while since I've been on the old podcast here, and it's good to have you back. But yeah, good to be back anyway. But yeah, look, guys, don't forget, go and hit that like button, share it wherever you need to go and share it where you feel it fits. Share it with your friends, family, and also don't forget to go and tell your friends about the podcast here, especially if they've had an encounter of their own. As I'd love to get them on the podcast here and have a bit of a chin wag and get to know about their experiences or encounters and such. And I'm sure you guys too. So by all means, guys, go and share this podcast out, and yeah, make sure to hit that like button. It helps you out. Share the podcast. Gets found easier there for more people who like it and that sort of stuff. It helps with the what do you call it? Something that helps it anyway. I can't even think of the words now. But anyway, guys, look, we're going for an awesome show tonight. We've got Rowan Bo there with us tonight, which I'll get there now, who has had quite some interesting experiences there, especially starting from a young age there. So, Rowan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Anthony. How are you?
I'm going good, good. No, yeah, by all means, it's my pleasure. It's absolutely fantastic having you on. Now, look, you've had quite some interesting encounters there. It started from quite the young age, and which even followed you throughout different countries around the world and such. And like, tell us about your encounters. And I believe you have a bit of a presentation to go through as well, which helps out.
Yeah, that's right. So I was about 9 when all this started, and so I can share the presentation. Everyone can have a look at some pictures and things of what I've collated myself, and some renderings I've made myself. I probably should do some more drawings and things like that. I have done some drawings so people can get a general idea and try and visualize what I've seen. This is all my own memories as well. Nothing's been I haven't had hypnotherapy or anything, so this is just my pure memories. And you'll be able to see what I've seen through my pictures as they come up on the screen, and I'll tell you about them as well. So there's some notes there for me. So you'll see the notes is just so I remember all of the things, in order. So yeah, so we'll go through from beginning to basically the last one I had was last year. The last encounter that I had was last year.
Right. So let's get stuck into it. So let's share this up there. And
so that's me when I was basically 8 or 9. I'm not exactly sure of the age that I was. So that's me. I've circled me in purple there. I was a little cherub. That's in Taree, so in New South Wales. I don't remember anything before this time. My first memory was when I was 6 weeks old. So I've actually confirmed that with my parents anyway. So maybe I've got like a memory that, I can remember far back in my lifetime. We came over from the UK. I was born over there, and we flew on an aeroplane when I was 6 weeks old, and I remember that journey. So I was able to confirm that what happened with my parents and things like that. So these memories of mine, are quite distinct about these beings that were coming into my room when I was 8 or 9 in Taree. And they're small, dark creatures, relatively stocky, wearing a hood. So it probably happened, I'm going to say, about a month's work. Maybe it's so hard for me to remember exactly how long this went on for. So it was a regular occurrence, and it was really scary for me. I had to go to school afterwards, of course, in the next day, and this seemed to happen it seemed to take the whole night, was these encounters. So what would happen, I sort of knew before the encounter would happen so maybe I got a feeling, or maybe there was sleep paralysis. I don't remember exactly what prompted me to know something was going to happen, but when these creatures came into the room, there was probably between like 2 and 3, or maybe 4. I can't remember exactly how many, and I don't remember if they actually spoke to me, but they just showed me all sorts of. There were 3 things that they showed. One of them was blocked out because I just had to get on with life, and they were so terrifying. I had to learn to compartmentalize what was going on in my life. But what would happen was the room would spin. I would be lying on my bed like this, and then the room would spin around and round and round my bed. Terrifying. And other things that were happening was like lots of lights, and also time would distort. So things would go very fast or very, very slow. So that was sort of messing around with time and space around me. And I guess they were just showing me from, without actually knowing, that maybe reality didn't exist in the way we thought that they would. So, I had to try to forget about it. Obviously you can't forget about these things, but when I started to investigate my, these weird random things that were happening in my life, this was the very last thing I added in last year when I started to, investigate all of my experiences and pull them out of the box, so to speak, and have a close look at them, because I pushed everything so far back into my mind. These were my memories, but I couldn't. No one spoke about this stuff. I didn't know how to deal with it. There was no help. There was no, groups that I found. So basically had to, look at all these experiences, and this particular experience when I was young was the very last thing that I actually looked at and thought, well, this is not human. I better put this in with the weird and wonderful ET box. So the only way this actually stopped these experiences was I noticed that when I went into my sister's bedroom, my sister sitting next to me there, Heather, she does recall something from this time period as well, but the only way that these experiences were stopped was because I asked my parents to put me in to my sister's bedroom, and I slept in there in a bunk. So I did notice that they weren't happening when I stayed in my sister's bedroom, and so I thought, well, that's one way to get rid of them. And so these experiences did stop then. And when my mum bought the book Where the Wild Things Are, that I've actually got that on the next slide. I'll show you. So you can see how similar these creatures are to the book Where the Wild Things Are. So
yeah, that's scary.
That one's from Communion, and I thought that this book my mum bought was a guidebook. Oh, goody. Now some people are finally talking about this stuff. I can actually, learn about what was happening in my life. But, my parents didn't accept that there was anything happening. It was always like, oh, you had a bad dream. But this wasn't, these weren't dreams, and that's taken from Communion. Someone only told me like a couple of months ago that those creatures were even other people had experienced them too, and I actually think Peter Curry had experienced them as well. So he and I both went to Cardwell, as you did too, Anthony, and we both had that on our image to show people what we'd experienced it. And another lady actually came up to me at Cardwell, and she said she's seen those things too. So I only know a few people in the world that have actually had these little creatures come into their room. So of course, I couldn't get through the book Where the Wild Things Are when mum was reading it to us. I was like, oh, here's a lovely children's story. No, it was not lovely at all. It was terrifying. And I'd be screaming halfway through, and mum would have to send me to bed into the room that these things happened at, So,
oh, no.
Anyway, so like I had to get on with life and things like that. So when the next event that would happen was when I was I was 17 there in that left-hand photo there. So in that particular photo, I was pregnant. First boyfriend. Unfortunately, we didn't, I didn't know much about protection, so I got on the pill straight afterwards. But I actually found out I was pregnant. And this is another thing that I had to add in to my weird and wonderful this ain't right box, that I'd stored in the back of my brain for. I'm 50 now, so I had all this started to come back to me only last year. And I had to sort of reevaluate my whole life, and my whole life's changed since then. And I never really spoke about it. People throughout my life that I've disclosed to now, they were like, "Oh yeah, I remember you said something way back then." So people knew that I had seen things and weird things happen. But when I actually put everything together in one big, like laid it out all on the table with myself, if you can know what I mean, I realized that I had so many weird and wonderful experiences, and I've only been talking about this year to people. So I've never really spoken about it to anybody. Occasionally I'd tell some people some things, but when I laid out the whole range of what had happened to me, I realized that actually I've got quite significant experiences. So what happened was, when I was this is 1990, and when I was 16, so 17 should I say, my boyfriend and I got pregnant. He organised to go to Sydney. That's not my boyfriend there. That's his friend that we stayed with. His name is Dean. I think he was a policeman, actually. So that's the day after I got the abortion. So in that left-hand one there, I was pregnant. I was so embarrassed that I thought I was showing, because I was nearly 3 months pregnant, because that's how long it took to kind of organise an abortion clinic. I was only young. I didn't want to have babies then, And anyway, so when we went down to Sydney, in the abortion clinic, they gave you like a twilight. It's called a twilight anaesthetic. You basically don't. It's not a full anaesthetic, but you don't remember anything, sort of thing. And anyway, so when I sort of in the recovery room, the nurse said to me, "Oh, by the way, there was no fetus in there." And I thought, "Oh, how ridiculous! I'm only 17. I didn't know anything about, what size things were." So I assumed that it would just be a tiny speck, and that they'd just missed it. So I was like, I just wrote it off. But then what happened a few years later, I'd actually broken up with a different boyfriend, and I found myself pregnant again. And so I took myself off to Tari Hospital, or one of the doctors, and they wouldn't do an abortion, I've realised, without an ultrasound. So, but again, this nurse came up to me and said there was no fetus in there again. And again, I just pushed it in the back of my mind going, well, obviously you guys are incompetent, but then I started to realize this isn't right, but babies don't go missing, sort of thing. So I actually like the idea that maybe ET's got my babies rather than, the alternative, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
It's not the first time I've actually heard about that either. Like, I think Jane Pulley was another one who's sort of had that experiences there where, she's had fetuses gone missing there, and she's also talked to other women who had the same thing. So and like the doctors are coming with excuses going, "Oh, your body's absorbed it," or something like that. It's like your body just doesn't go and absorb a fetus.
And the other thing
it's going to come out either way.
And the other thing, well, I know another lady, Glenys Mackay, who used to run MUFON. She's in her 80s now. When she was 7 months pregnant one day, and then the next day she woke up not pregnant. So this does happen. They do take babies. They obviously do take babies. So
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. So obviously I've maybe got grown up children up there on spacecraft, which is a really lovely alternative to I'm just moving some things around on my screen there so I can see that bit. So in between those two events, what happened was I was living in Noosa with that same boyfriend, the first boyfriend. And so I was 19 then. So this is between those two pregnancies where I had the most significant experience of my life. And I still think about it in great depth to this day. I wish that I could actually bring more to my memories, but I don't particularly think I'll cope with all the 30 years of contact all of a sudden coming up into the fore if I went and got hypnotherapy or something. So I'd prefer to just stick with my pure memories for now and just be done with that because these are quite significant as well. So that's a painting I did to try and replicate what happened to me when I got drawn up onto the craft. So you can see I'm a little tiny person right in the center there.
Yep.
Down the bottom is the place that we lived in, Noosa. And out the back of that is, you can have a little look there. There's the washing line. So what happened at 9 o'clock at night, I went out the back door and was hanging washing out the line because I realized, oh crap, I better get that out there. It's not going to dry by the morning or something. So I was hanging washing out. And what happened was what I thought was a min light around, it's probably about, hard to tell exactly how big it was, but say this, I don't know, like a large beach ball size. That floated down. I didn't see this craft then, but this thing floated down in front of me, this min light. And I thought, oh, well, that's what min lights look like finally. I wouldn't have known. That's what I thought it was. So this round ball orb of light floated towards me and out of the sky, and I was actually on the other side of the washing line walking backwards away from it, but it was sort of bouncing in front of my face about 2 to 3 meters away at that height. And it was kind of playing with me. And I thought, I'm not going to touch you because I feel like that you might be radioactive. So I had my hands behind my back, and it was sort of bouncing around, just playing with me a little bit. It sounds bizarre, but it felt like it was alive. So what happened then, it actually surprisingly flew into my face. It just hit me straight, came flying straight into my face and hit me in the head. I don't know. I didn't see it again afterwards, but it was like it must have absorbed me, or it grabbed hold of me or something. And I was floating in the air, but I was in body. I wasn't in astral or anything. It was me floating in the air straight up. And I realized above me was this craft when I looked up in the sky. And I mean, that was it's unbelievable when you think about it, because it's pitch black, and I probably went at least 300 meters in the air, just floating. And I thought to myself, I was looking down and I kept hearing a voice saying, no, look up, look up, look up. So I did look down, and it was scary, looked up. I thought I better remember every single little thing that I'm seeing here, because I was forcing myself to remember everything. And that's why I've drawn those coils, is what I call them. That was red hot coils that were just so hot that they had like a heat haze on them. And I'm not exactly sure the configuration, but I thought, well, that's what's holding this thing in the air. And I thought, this is 1992. We don't have this sort of technology. This is definitely from outer space. And so what happened next, I went up into, I've actually got another picture, but I will go back just for my notes. This is what it looked like when I was inside. So there were 4 tall beings. That's useless. The picture I drew is ugly, but you get the general gist of it.
Yeah.
So I'll get back again to this one so I can see my notes there. But so 4 tall beings, there were 2 males and 2 females, and I had long blonde hair too, and they had long blonde hair. I was short, but we looked the same. We kind of looked the same. We looked like we were kind of the same, which was really bizarre. What was going through my head was, don't rape me, don't steal me, don't kill me, don't, put implants in me, don't kind of like cut me up or whatever. I didn't even know what they were doing. So out of nervousness, I was the first one to talk, and I said, oh, welcome to planet Earth, kind of like greetings, I didn't know what else to say. It sounds so ironic now that I think back on it, but it was me just blurting this stuff out that I'd heard obviously on TV. So that was what I'd said to them. And I think they may have sort of said something rather like, if you touch us, we will kill you. It will kill you, or you will die, sort of thing. So I was like, okay, so we're not going to be friends, So that was really bizarre. But I took that as meaning perhaps that they were wearing something. Their spacesuits may be, electric or something, and maybe it will zap me. So I kind of took it the nicest possible way that I could when someone threatens you to kill you. So anyway, but to my surprise, they actually turned around and said, well, do you want to fly the craft? And so that was
That's pretty
pretty
cool.
amazing, and that just blew my mind that and so, you know, the things that they were, that from me saying greetings to them going, we'll kill you, to flying the craft, it was sort of like one end to the other, you know. So it was, I had to like kind of face my fears and really just sort of had to say, all right, I'll push everything down, that I was terrified. I could have sat there screaming my head off, but I chose the higher path. And so they actually, you can see in the next picture there, you can see the seats. So I sat in the left-hand seat. I've got no idea what the console looked like, but I do remember must have been a view screen or something in front there. So the two, I can't remember what happened to the women. I just assumed that it kind of went back somewhere. And the two men sat side by side there. And so I was on the left-hand side, and the guy, one of the guys, he was guiding me of how to fly the craft. So like I said, I can't remember exactly how I was flying it. I just remember my main memory was fields. So it just, I felt like I was flying really fast, and all I could see underneath me was just fields coming and rolling past. So I'd be field, you know. And he said, no, you think that's fast, this is fast. And he hopped in the seat. So this went on all night, this whole episode. So this was like another one of these long night things. And he got in this, and he just punched it, and he just went so fast and so far and so long. I had no idea kind of where on earth we were in the world, basically. And I couldn't get any bearings, and there was no, you know, so this was so bizarre. And I started to get really scared, actually, because I thought, well, you know what, I've got to get back to work, and I've got to kind of get, you know, what if they do steal me? Where am I going, kind of thing. So I started to get quite panicky. And anyway, so I actually reached over to the man there, and I grabbed hold of his arm, and I said, and I thought, well, that didn't kill me, you know. And yes, he's solid, and yes, he's muscular and ridiculously good looking, these Nordics, you know. Anyway, so I did reach out, held onto his arm, and I didn't die. The women didn't kill me or whatever. So, and I said, excuse me, can we go back now? And he said, yes, but first we're going to put an implant in the back of your head. And I woke up like that, like this, and grabbed my back of my neck. And there is a lump there, but I don't know how long I've had that lump there for. So I haven't had it investigated. But I do seem to remember a couple of things that they told me. Like, I'd asked them, where are you guys from? And they said, I don't know the timeline exactly when I asked them. And they said, we're travelers. That was it. And I kind of got the feeling that they were like from the Swedish area or something. And I thought, that I wish that they'd told me where they were actually from, but they said they're travelers. That was the exact terminology they used. And then I also remember them saying, we will see you again, or something like that. Like, and I took that as being the next day. So I spent the whole day looking at, from my shop, you know, counter, looking for these 4 people to turn up again, to say, oh, hi, you remember we saw you last night. I mean, if this was a dream,
as you would,
why would you do that? You know, you wouldn't be doing that sort of thing. But the interesting thing was, this was, like I said, this took all night basically. And when I woke up, it was already morning time, and I hopped up and had to go to work, and I hadn't slept basically, but yet I woke up in my bed. And what happened was, I went upstairs to have breakfast, and I put the radio on, and there was a UFO reported that night.
Oh, so
that blew my mind. And again, one of these things that, like, I had to just, yeah, but it was different to what I'd seen. It wasn't this weird sort of shape, like a bus shaped one. This was a green cylindrical UFO that was reported, like a fluorescent light. Anyway, this becomes significant, really, because I've seen that twice again. I never saw it that first time, but I've actually have seen it myself. So that's my lump there. So I don't know. I mean, it could be whatever it is, but, you know, because I've feel like that I've been followed around the world. So you'll see through the other stories, and to different countries and different cities, and they find me whilst I'm like driving on highways and motorways, and I actually think they can hear my thoughts, and they actually show themselves when I sort of ask to see them in the sky and that now. So this is the next time that I had. Sorry, just need one.
Yeah. Just a quick question on that. You living alone then, or did you?
No, I did have that boyfriend. I can't remember. I never actually articulated what had happened to me. I didn't know how to. This is not a thing that you talk about. I just compartmentalized all these things.
So you're living alone there, but like, was the boyfriend there at the time there, or?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I've tried to think back, but I sort of had, like I say, I didn't block these things, but so that's all my memories, what I've just told you then. I know what they look like. I know what the craft, I know what the seat looked like, which is interesting because I have seen these bucket kind of swivel seats before. Oh, sorry, when I'm saying that, I mean on other people's reports. People often report these swivel seats, and I thought that was a really bizarre thing at the time, that it was a swivel seat. That's my most solid memory, that it was definitely like a white swivel seat or something, which I thought that's very human tech. But anyway, so
That's right, because the question I was asking, like regarding that, was just in case, like, did he notice that you were missing or anything like that? Like, any questions later, like what happened to you last night, sort of thing?
No idea. I'm not going to contact him or anything like that. But
no, that's all right. That's
yeah, he probably wouldn't remember anyway. And that's unfortunately because I've left it so long for me to chase this stuff up. People don't remember anything anyway.
Yeah.
But what happened when I was over in, my dad took me over to England and Scotland because, like I said, I was born over there. So Dad took me over when I had my 21st over there. And so what happened was we went from Southend-on-Sea all the way up to Arbroath. That's where my dad's Scottish. And we drove that whole way. It sounds like a long way, all the way from, England to Scotland in one night, but it's actually only 8 hours. And we did stop one of the times there too. Well, what happened was on the drive, I was sitting in the back seat. My younger brother was in the front seat, passenger seat, and Dad was driving. And I've got that photo there of see the lights on fog, or the lights reflected from fog. I found that on Facebook, and it's a Facebook image, so I can't like copyright it. I'm just saying this is what I took. I've actually saved this because I thought this is exactly what I saw. So we were driving for hours and hours, and that was right above the car. It was lights rotating one way, and then in the center, lights rotating the other way, and also pulsating in and out like this, but right above the car. And it was following us in the exact, trajectory, I guess, for hours. And I was rolling the window down saying, is this, lights reflected on our hubcap? Is it coming from somewhere in the car? It's up in the sky, thinking it's rotating around like this, but the other one's rotating and then pulsating in and out. So it just blew my mind. I was like, what is this? And it didn't even occur to me it was a UFO. It really seriously didn't, because I never really kind of pieced all this together. It sounds bizarre, but I never really did. And I didn't know what I was looking at. And it was above the trees, and it was just following us. That's the whole story. Really, there's nothing else, but this is what I mean. Like, these things happen. So do I have an implant? What's going on? What is going on? I don't really know. I wish I knew. So the next time I saw a really weird thing was when, remember that cylindrical UFO? So we were, actually, I traveled when I was 24, and I was went to Africa I did a whole round the world trip sort of thing, because my parents were travelers. We all traveled in our family. So we were staying on the Zambezi River on a canoe trip, and when I actually Googled that, I found something very similar, and it looks like a similar kind of camping experience on a canoe trip. So it was a 5 day, I think 4 or 5 day canoe trip, and on the first or second night, somebody went, oh, sorry, firstly, we saw a satellite go straight overhead. And we thought, oh, well, that's a satellite. This is, mind you, this is 96. So there wasn't many satellites then. You know, it's not like now where Elon Musk got millions of satellites up there. And then somebody went, what's that over there? So basically right on the horizon was a light traveling like that. And it just traveled along very slowly in the far distance. And I thought, oh my God, I know about that one, because I was thinking in the back of my mind, I didn't mention what happened because no one wanted to hear anything, you know. And I thought, I know what that is. I know what that is. And I finally articulate, you know, quietly, I think that's a UFO. And as soon as I said that, it just disappeared. And it disappeared like behind a little tiny wisp of cloud that was only a tiny little thing. And there's no way it would have disappeared. So it switched off or it just disappeared. And I thought, oh my God, I said that right when it disappeared. And exactly a week later, we were camping again at the Drakensberg Mountains, which is, I believe, near the aerial school. That some of these are near that aerial school. I found out later. I never heard about it before. But this is just a couple of years after that aerial school encounter where the UFO came down, the little beings.
Is that the Zimbabwean one?
Yeah, that's right. So some of these are around there. And I remember when I told somebody about it when I was in Africa, they said, oh, that's a hotspot there. And I was like, really? Oh, I never knew. And I didn't even know about that aerial school one until like only last year or the year before. But what happened was we were camping again. So we were at the base of the mountains, basically. The mountains, it was like called Drakensberg. So it's a big arc of mountains, and we were camping right at the base. And it was so, because of that, we were in the mountains, it got quite dark quite quickly. So we were in the campground trying to get everything ready, dinner and all that sort of stuff, before it got quite dark. But up when we looked at the sky, it was still blue. So I noticed a satellite went over, and I thought, oh, look, everyone, there's a satellite. And then I thought, oh, you know what? Last time we saw a satellite, and I was trying to articulate to people what we'd seen a week before. And I was looking around the campground, sort of thinking, oh, well, where's the green color? And I couldn't even get it out, what we'd seen. And then I looked up in the sky, and there it is directly above us. And it was massive. So there are the clouds there. If you can see the rendition of the clouds that I'd done, dodgy.
Yep.
But you could see how massive this thing must have been. And it was behind the clouds, and it was, clouds are like 10,000 feet up or something, you know, they're not small, but this thing must have been absolutely massive. And it was green, like the other two ones that I'd heard of, the first one, and I've also seen the second one, but it was like optic fiber. It was like a crystal or glass or something, which was incredible, you know. It was almost see-through. And on the edge, it was like optic fiber in that it was brighter, and it was completely cylindrical and smooth. And I mean, there was no propulsion, there was no noise. It was just incredible. So that was that. Again, I felt like, oh my God, I've been talking about it right then there too. So that was another really bizarre thing. But when I moved back to Sydney, I moved to Sydney, and all this stuff's going around in my mind all the time, like what's going on. And I remember seeing, going outside and seeing 3 rainbows like that in a row, one on top of each other. And it made me start thinking, oh God, what did I see all the other times and things, and what's going on? Did I imagine it? No one talks about it. No, I definitely didn't imagine it. You know, these things must be real. So I actually saw a little blue, what I thought was a balloon floating in the sky. And then I saw another color balloon. And I thought, well, that's weird. Look at these balloons. And I realized these aren't balloons, because more and more kept coming, and they were all just floating in different directions and things, different colors. And then the whole sky lit up in stars in the middle of the day. And I was thinking, oh my God, I was just asking, like, this, is this real? Are these things real? And the whole sky just lit up in stars. And then they all just
Wow.
flashed off at once. So I know it was like a confirmation. I couldn't get like over my excitement. I was like, oh my God. And of course, hubby at the time, he was like, oh, who cares? No one wants to know all this rubbish. It's just crap or something. Anyway.
That's unfortunate.
So I know. So this is what I mean. I've just had this really like, my
Did
whole
anyone
life.
else sort of witness this at the same time though?
Yes,
Like anyone else see
people
this whole
did
thing?
witness it. Well, my husband. But this is another bizarre thing that happened to me when I was asked. I tried to find a woman that was lying down in a non-sexual pose. It was very difficult on Google. Anyway, so that's what it was. And she actually had a wheat pack on her tummy, so I had to kind of cover that over. Anyway, so what happened was gone back up to Taree, visited friends up there, school friends. It may have been a reunion, I'm not really sure. And I was laying after a humongous night the next morning on a mattress in my friend's spare bedroom. And I felt so sick. I always get sick when I drink. So I'm laying there going, oh God, I don't want to be sick, And I started to think about these beings and all these weird things that I'd seen and UFOs and just it's so weird because I felt like I was the only one that had all this stuff happening, and everyone else either forgot or just didn't, pretended they didn't exist or something. So I was laying there and I thought to myself, I know what I'll do. I'll ask these guys whoever they are, if they really exist, they'll come down here right this very second in time and heal me, and then I have no other choice but to believe that they're real. And I kind of gave them an ultimatum, and instantly the room started to buzz like a buzzing bee noise. It was bzzz, and it was so loud, and so the vibration just was rocking the whole room, and it was coming out of my stomach, this vibration, and it was like a ripple effect, and it was like some sort of big major energy healing of this buzzing and the whole room world or whatever it was rocking with this, vibrational waves. And then I thought, God, well, I have to believe they exist now. I basically told them, if you do this now, I have to believe that you exist, whoever you are. So that was so weird. And I thought, finally I got some confirmation. Not like, I ran out from my friend and I said, oh my God, did you just hear that noise? And did you just see that thing that happened? And they're like, no, nothing's happened down here. You're weird, sort of thing. And I was like, oh my God, this life is so bizarre because I'm having all these things happening. And it's like, it's like I had to pretend nothing was happening,
Yeah, I think everyone sort of wants that ability after a big night out, the bit of a hangover
Yeah.
cure. That'd be very convenient.
Don't worry, I've asked them again. They never did it again. So these are these weird recurring dreams that I had. And I had to put this all together and realizing now people have weird dreams, and I thought they were dreams, and I realize that they maybe weren't dreams. But probably for about 20 years, I've dreamt about that little grey lady. I think she's a lady. That's Skinny Bob, obviously. But when I started to investigate this, that was one of the pictures that I just stared at, and I was like, oh my God, this is the creature that I've seen in my dreams. And we were staring at each other like only a foot or two apart, where we would just stare at each other and in my dream, as part of this dream complex. And I would have to hold any fears back or stop worrying or stop fearing, and I would have to learn to love and respect this creature that looked different, but there was so much love coming out of this creature, sort of thing. But what would happen at the beginning of each dream, I would sort of I'd find myself awake in an industrial area or something, like, industrial areas where they have, like, right at the back, it's fenced off, it's gravelly, there's no lights, and there's a bunch of other people there, and I'm standing there, and I'm actually pinching myself to make sure I'm awake. I'm like, yes, finally I'm awake when I see a UFO. And I didn't even heard of triangular UFOs, but I'd seen them in my dreams. And this black UFO would just be right up in the sky and just come straight down on top of us, and people would be screaming, but I knew we wouldn't get hurt. It wasn't going to land on us or squash us. And I was sort of like the ringleader going, it's fine, don't worry, everyone get on board, don't worry, it's all good, there's nothing to fear. And that's the whole repeating dream year after year. And again, when I dream these things, there would be reports about UFOs or something was seen. So I would, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually not dream, because it was getting confirmed again with like reports of UFOs and things. So this little grey being would teach me how to love somehow and not to be afraid. So I'd wander around the craft. I mean, I don't know. But I'd wake up in my bed again and go, oh, well, that mustn't have been a dream. But then I realised now it probably could have been a dream, you know.
Were the people there you had around you, were like they're the same faces you were familiar with, like with the recurring?
Well, I remember there was one doctor I used to work with. I remember seeing him in my dream, and the next day we were staring at each other, but no one said anything. I'm too scared to actually ask him if he ever was in that dream. He might not remember. I'll probably look like an idiot then. So I never said anything to him. But last year, on the 13th of February, I felt like it's time to wake up. And I got told it's time to wake up. I got 3 taps on the foot and get my camera and go outside, and there'll be a UFO out there. So I hopped up. It was like 4 or 5 in the morning. And I took that series of photos there where a UFO was like click, click, click. That's how fast this thing was going. And it basically went across the sky. So I was able to get some photos, and I reported it to MUFON. And I thought, oh yeah, there you go, I've seen this. And he asked what I'd seen, and went through the thing. And then I was like, oh, by the way, I've seen a couple of other things. And he's like, what? And I explained a couple of things. And he's like, what else? And explained some more things. And I ended up like putting in 16 files or something. He submitted 16 files on my behalf. And I started to think, oh God, really? Is this really real? So a couple of weeks after that, a UFO came flying across my car in daylight, driving on the Logan motorway. I was doing 100 kilometers an hour, and this thing came flying across my car. Basically, it was like a flattened triangular thing, and it was flashing really brilliant white and really dark black kind of thing. And it was just on, off, and it was like a frisbee direction. And I thought, I'm doing 100 kilometers an hour, and this thing came from the other side and flew across my car above this tree line. I nearly had an accident trying to find where this thing went behind the trees. I didn't see it after that. It was probably about 2 to 3 meters wide in the daylight. And I thought, oh my God, do I have an implant? Is this what is going on? You know, again, one of these doesn't make sense sort of thing. But I also got a lot of downloads from whatever was kind of making contact with me again too. So I'd have like a lot of dreams. I'd go outside, I'd see flashing, repeating lights and flashings, and I do that now to this day. I can go outside and I can go, hi guys, are you up there? And in my heart, you know, and they float along and they come past, and I don't even know, so many, or I can't even keep track of. I don't even bother keeping track anymore of these lights and things that I see. But in May last year, this is the last actual kind of experience that I had, was I did actually get sleep paralysis, because I was laying there and I thought, I can't move. Is this what sleep paralysis is like? And so it was the night before the first CE5 group meeting that I wanted to go to. So this is me kind of coming out. I'll come out of the closet, everyone, you know, UFO girl here. Freaked everyone out. No one, my whole family still can't get their head around it sort of thing. I've actually broken up with my husband because he just couldn't cope with it. And really, like, you know, this is my life now, you know, it's been going on a long time and it's been really difficult. So, but anyway, sorry. Yeah. So what happened though this night? Was two greys were looking over me, one taller and one shorter, and they're like, "What's wrong with her? Why is she freaking out?" And I'm freaking out, because I was like, "Oh my god, these things actually exist, even though I've seen them for 40 years, still 40 or 50 years. It's still like this weird world that I'm living in at the moment, where I still question, do these things exist? Even though I've seen so many things." And anyway, so I don't know what happened. Something happened between, like, they blocked my memory, probably again from all these other times that my memory's probably been blocked, and I don't really want to know what they really did. But
Yeah.
40 minutes went past from me, with the time when I did sort of fall asleep, if you want to call it that, to rousing again, whenever that was. But I was awake the whole time, if that makes sense. And I actually thought I couldn't breathe at one point, and I was saying to them, um, what did I say? I need to move my arm. And they're like, no, you need to stay still. And I'm like, no, I need to move my arm, because I wanted to just unblock whatever it was that was in. I thought the pillow was in front of my face. Maybe they were moving me. I don't know what they were doing, and they said, well, how can we help you? And I said, I just need to move my arm. Oops, sorry, like that. And I actually woke up or came to, or whatever it was, in exactly the same position as that sort of thing. After I'd done, I thought, well, the pillow wasn't there, but somehow I can breathe or something. So yeah, it was really, I think that's basically the last thing that's happened, apart from, that's just another thing that I wrote. Yeah, so that's basically, apart from me seeing these things all the time in the sky, like lights and flashes, and and bizarre ones, like sometimes in the dark sky I'm looking and I can just see things coming out of this, like a portal, or going into a portal. One night, this is only in Brisbane too. I mean, it's nowhere dramatically different. One night I remember seeing all these lights going into one area of the sky, and then a jet from Amberley just came roaring from one side of the sky all the way through that spot,
Yeah.
and
Right.
out the other side. So yeah, they obviously know that there's things happening in that too. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know what's going on. I wish I did. That I don't claim to know what's going on, even though I've seen 3 different species in all these different countries and different experiences and different crafts and things like that. But I'm still left gobsmacked with actually what's going on. And it's, as soon as the US started to admit that they've been having a secret, then I started up going, well, I don't have to pretend I've got a secret anymore either.
Yeah, I think it's sort of made a lot of people start coming forward now too, which is great because
Yeah.
obviously the reality is there that these things exist in our airspaces and such. It's one of those things, like, it's well overdue, to be honest. They should have been well and truly open with us from day dot. But
Yeah.
obviously they got their own agendas and stuff like that. So but you can go on for ages there whinging and complaining, but it's not going to achieve anything, unfortunately.
And I mean, we've got so many different kinds, obviously, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like that they're doing me bad or wrong, even though maybe they're a bit scary and things like that, and I still don't know what's going on. I don't feel like that they are really bad,
No,
which
that's
is good.
cool. Yeah. So, like, what's sort of like your conclusion of the whole thing? Like, obviously, yeah, you've had all these different experiences there. Like, do you have like some sort of like overly idea conclusion of the whole experiences?
Well, my only thoughts is that I think that they're helping with spirituality and just trying to make us wake up, like a little, I suppose, with our gifts. So if you want to call it that, psychic, spirituality, connection, learning about our energy bodies, I think.
Yeah.
They actually told me to do a meditation course, so I did that. I kind of get downloads from them and things, or at least some guidance and advice. And I just
Yeah.
feel like that I'm hopefully helping other people just to come, to their own, acceptance of their own experiences and making it okay to talk about it. So I do have a disclosure Facebook page. I was sort of noticed that no one was communicating at all in Australia. So I started up my own Facebook page. It's called UFO/UAP Disclosure Australia, where I just only share news articles. There's no memes and all the other rubbish. It's a serious page that people can get all their information from. And I've got a radio program now. We're interviewing people. So that's just normalizing the situation to the public. I think that's the most important thing that we've got to do right now. So it's a bit of a responsibility just to, the stigma and normalize everything. Something is here. Something is helping us, I suppose. Maybe there's other things that aren't helping us, but, some things are helping us, I think.
Yeah,
and at least they're here anyway.
Yeah. Like you look at through history, there's been interactions there from not that the government's going to admit to it, but they're turning off nuclear bombs and such, and like there's obviously something in the background there that they're in control of here, and the governments are just the forefront basically for whatever reasons, or there could be more to it that's even more warped in that regard. Like there's so many different opinions and such that just makes you wonder like what the hell is really going on in this world.
I feel like that.
With all that sort of stuff.
I feel like that by discussing and normalizing it, then we can all bring our pieces to the puzzle and make a big picture. Whereas at the moment, like I've only got a couple of things. I have connected with a fair few other contactees, and that's really helpful because I feel like then, like it's a very unique situation to be in when you're a contactee, and it's very isolating. And you don't realize how difficult it is until you find other people and they've struggled with it for a lot as well. And I think that's important because there must be so many people that have seen things. And ontological shock, I've had 40 years to kind of get through how to deal with this or cope with it or just understand it. And there must be so many people there that are seeing things for the first time ever and discovering this news that we all just need to help each other along,
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're saying, the more people who talk about this sort of thing, the better the disclosure is going to become. People are going to be a lot more comfortable to sort of be a bit more outspoken about what is happening and seeing in their own encounters. It's such a lot. So yeah, like what you're doing there, like obviously your radio show, you're supporting a little more other people, which is absolutely fantastic. Like I feel like a lot of people need to be supported in this sort of thing, especially like in the fact that like with abductees, like abductions and such, like that's probably the biggest thing to try and come to terms with. If someone has like sort of realizing they are having these kind of experiences or encounters, like how do you even approach that sort of subject? Like going, hey, look, like you can't really go to a doctor or a psychologist and go,
no,
hey, I'm having these experiences. I feel like I'm getting abducted here, and like they're gonna like look at you and go, all right, here's some medication. Here's you're a
that's
wacko.
right.
Go to a bloody nutty house.
Yeah, but like I found that over the time where people have been there and seen them, they just have this like a closure that they do. They don't continue to investigate and they don't continue to learn. Whereas I just want to know what's going on. I can't stop learning and wanting to know what's going on. I'm too interested in the most amazing thing. Why are they here? Who are they? What are they doing? I can't, how do we find out about this stuff? So that's why I think that talking to other abductees or contactees is the best place to go. Not necessarily so-called experts who may have researched things. It's us on the ground level who have the information.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing too. Like you're saying, like you get these other experts that haven't really experienced anything in their own rights to even say like they can have any explanation to what's going on. Like myself, like I haven't had any like proper physical encounters and such. Like I've seen something in the sky that I couldn't really identify, even though it wasn't anything phenomenal in that regard. Like people seeing shapes and stuff or like absolute pure detailed crafts, whereas mine's just a strange light in the sky and I can't explain it. But like yourself,
we went to the CE5 together, didn't we, that night at Cardwell?
Yeah, we went out there and had a bit of an exploration in the sky there, and there's a couple of little flashes there from
but there was about
geostationary. Yeah, I
Yeah,
sort of feel
something.
like they were geostationary
Yeah,
satellites there in the distance there. They're just
yeah.
doing the orbs, and other people want to call them something else. But
I don't know
I'll
either.
stay a bit more critical, and
Yeah,
like that's my best explanation to it because I've seen them quite often when I'm watching the sky there, and that's the best explanation I come with like geostationary satellites doing a bit of
yeah,
rotation because you can time them like usually about 8 to 10 seconds roughly, and then they'll flash again. Like you can pretty much time them
yeah,
until they're sort of like fade off and disappear in the rotation. But like I
yeah,
was saying, like like people like yourself there who've had these physical encounters there, like that you guys are the ones who should be back and beyond closed doors or even open doors. I
yeah,
prefer open doors because then things are getting shared properly. You guys should be there going, look, this is what's happening in reality here.
yeah,
Investigate into this stuff here. We don't care about what's flying around in the skies right now. That's not important. We need to go, what is happening here with these people who are being abducted? Why are they being taken? What's the agenda here? What's the whole concept here of what they're trying to achieve here? That's the question that should be asked and that should be investigated into more seriously with the governments. Well, they probably even know themselves, really, but that's the
yeah,
part for me. I feel like that should be brought open into the more in the open from the government side of things. But again, that's still that stigma attached to it, and they just want to concentrate on what's flying in our skies at the moment, which is ridiculous. There's more to this than just flying objects in the sky that
yeah,
the radars are picking up.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if we're sharing genetics, well, what is really going on? Why? What's happening?
Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah,
why are they sharing genetics? Well, why are they splicing our
yeah,
genetics to go on?
yeah.
Like there's some sort of hybridization or something like is it some sort of what would you call it? Uh, you know, uh,
Breeding program or something.
yeah, it's a breeding program, or is it like is it an invasion of sorts? There, like so like you're breeding from the background there and getting your own species in
Yeah,
there, and next
no
thing that
idea.
we're we're out of the picture then because
And the
their
other
genetics
thought,
are taken over.
and if I have children up there, that somehow I can, that means that I'm not going to want to hurt them when and if they arrive. Am I? Am
Yeah,
I?
that's right.
I'll
Yeah,
be
you're
I'll
gonna
be on
have.
their side. Yeah,
So you're gonna be one of them. I see. Right, we're gonna watch out
probably.
for you then.
I already know they're loving and they're caring and I've already been, you know, well trained, I suppose.
Righto, so we've got a traitor here,
Okay.
so just watch out for Rowan with the people when we do get invaded.
Yes. Sorry, everyone. I'll be on their side.
That's all. So I've got a couple of questions here. So I've got my dear old dad here. He's in the comments here. He's got in there. He's pestering me now. He's asking about the technology that you've seen there. Like what any sort of particular technology that sort of might take notice of whilst you're on these crafts, like that's so different or familiar maybe, or anything that's sort of you
Yeah.
can sort of
I wish
recollect.
I could I wish I could remember a lot of it myself. Trust me, I've been trying to remember, and I also don't wanna add things onto my memory, so I have to be very careful not to, fluff up my story. I make it very,
Yeah, that makes sense.
straight with what I remember. But definitely the swivel seats, and some sort of, well, obviously, this red hot iron thing, not iron, I don't even know what it is, some sort of plasma, um, coiled thing underneath that's obviously holding it up. Don't know what that is. And obviously anti-grav as well,
Yeah,
and
if you can
things
just go
that,
back to that presentation part there, I'll throw it back up there so people can see the craft again.
uh, yeah, I'll just bear with me. Oh, that one inside the craft.
So all right, we'll
Well,
go. Oh, hang on,
that's
whoops, I've
just my
just done that.
memory anyway. So, uh,
Yeah,
um, and
and then the
that's
other one
I
there
only
where you
drew
were
it.
sort of in the sky there, where you actually see that had the craft there.
Oh yeah, the one before it. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
me floating. It's
So
about bus shaped. So, and the other thing is that, like, what's with the min light? Are these orbs some sort of transport system as well? I don't
yeah,
know.
that is. I was going to ask a question on that. Like, yeah, was it some sort of like plasma, or is it some sort of?
Yeah,
Is it an
yeah,
entity in itself that's intelligent? Yeah, like I say, minion lights, and then reports have been like minion lights are intelligent to some degree, like they're aware basically. And was that
yeah.
a minion light itself that we are like that we can relate to in that sort of nature? and they're
Yeah.
working together in that sort of sense. I don't know. I'm coming up with something.
Yeah.
I'm speculating here,
Obviously,
but
and they're a legend with the Aboriginals as well. So
that's
obviously, it's
right.
been going for a long, long time, hundreds of years, I guess, or minimum.
Yeah.
So
So the coils underneath the craft, that's not something you really hear of. In that sort of regards to if that is the propulsion system that sort of helps it. Um,
the most common, features that I've seen, and when I've been reading some books, is Charles Hall's Tall White's books. He talks about the scout craft as having like a kind of coiled thing, and also having like the same similar shape, which is rectangle, which is not something that many people report. They normally report the disc shape, and also having the swivel seats. So that's what I recall reading, like the only kind of similarities to what I've actually experienced, especially with the tall whites or whatever they are. I hate using terminologies because there must be that many out there that we don't know who, what they are, and I don't like to kind of, pigeonhole everything into like greys, Nordics or whatever. So there must be so many different kinds of different species out there, and
yeah.
therefore different kinds of crafts and technology. So there must be more than one anti-grav technology. So that's the
Yeah,
most
absolutely.
one with the most features that I've found anyway. Is Charles
No, that's fair
Hall.
enough too.
Yeah.
So have you sort of worked out if there were Palladians or Nordics at all? Like,
No, I don't. That's why
done
I
a bit
asked
of
them, "Who are you?" And they just said, "We're travelers." And I think that that's been said before as well. The travelers
yeah, that sounds familiar
kind
from
of
somewhere
thing.
else too.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
but being blonde, so we'll go back to the other image there where you had her in the side of the
Oh
craft
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So I guess like the common features I think from Palladians, they're always blonde and always been a
Good
very
looking.
attractive sort of attractive sort of
So they
being.
are. There was a picture I actually took out because of maybe copyright or something, but there was a particular picture, one of Preston Dennett's books, and I think I can't remember what the name of it is, and the guy is like a really good looking blonde on the front cover, and that was one of these images that made me really realize that this actually happened to me, because it just hit me right here, and it was just so deep that the image brought out the feelings that yes, this is something I recognize, just like that Skinny Bob one and the Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah,
So I feel
that's
like
fair
that those three things have like been kind of helped me to remember really what went on in my life. I know it sounds weird because I say they're memories, but when you push something away so much, you need to have a prompt sort of thing. So
yeah.
yeah,
Did you have much interaction with the female beings at all?
I think, well, yeah, they actually came up to me, and when I was getting the implant put in, they grabbed hold of me, and they're the ones that said they'll come back. So I do remember talking to them. I don't remember much, but I just remember the guys were nice. Well, I think there was only one that took charge mostly. He was the one sort of talking to me the most, and he was the one guiding me how to fly the ship. So I just had to be on my best behavior. They weren't to be meddled with, and just in case anyone meets them,
Yeah,
don't meddle with them. They're very straight. They're very stoic sort of thing. They're very serious. They're not. Yeah. So I mean, we will meet these beings at one point in our history. I'm sure they'll make themselves known to us. This is why I think they're trying to increase our consciousness and our awareness and our spirituality and our choices, so that we don't kill each other and things, that we're more loving as a society, make better choices, and then they'll feel more comfortable coming down here.
yeah, that's gonna be good because like I'd love to meet them.
Yeah, me
really
too.
find out what they know.
Where are my kids? I want to go back in space.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to fly the craft.
Yeah, bloody hell! Oh, wouldn't that be great? Flying that,
Yeah,
jeez, that'd be absolutely
yeah.
brilliant. So I think you mentioned two um being species throughout the presentation, but I don't think you mentioned the third one.
So we've got the little dark ones, we've got the greys, and we've got the Palladians.
Oh, sorry, yes, you did. It said the dark ones. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So that would have been
So
scary. And do you sort of feel like that it might have been like a sort of a cult sort of?
I don't really know. Yesterday I was having a meltdown day because my life's completely turned up on its head now. And all I did was thinking, what on earth were you doing to me? You know, why were you there? I was 9. What were you think? What's going on? Who invades 9-year-old girls' bedrooms and shows them time and space and distorts their reality?
Yeah. So let's just go back to those guys there, because they were quite.
Yeah. And if you actually have a look at the picture of where the wild things are, it's identical, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think it is.
pretty well. It's quite horrifying when you think about it. Like, is it like?
Yeah. And they
But
were in my
the
room.
beings were in hooded though. And, like, it's like,
Yeah.
why the hood? Like, it's not the first time I've heard about hooded beings and that.
Yeah.
So do you sort of feel like they could have been like an alien being of sort, or could this been more of like a paranormal sort of thing?
Well, I didn't understand what aliens were when I was only 9, so all I remember was these. They were, I want to say teachers, not teachers, but they weren't hurting me as physically. They were just distorting reality to such a point that became terrifying, you know.
Mm.
And but it was like an educational, is what I'm saying. You know, they were there, I think, to just show. I don't think they could speak. I don't think they could speak. They were just like, check this out, you know. Scary.
Yeah, or maybe they're testing your abilities to see how far you sort of can communicate, or like what your vibrations, like you in a
Yeah.
you're sort of in a guidelines, I suppose. Is that the right term? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
because I do remember being petrified of the dark, and no wonder they were probably in the
yeah.
dark. So whether that was before or after they came along and maybe just prompted me, here's how not to be petrified. We'll show you even worse stuff, and then deal with
That's
that.
the way to go.
You know?
Isn't it? That's what I usually do. Traumatize my kids, and it's like, hey, is this the thing? Rah, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so any other
So
questions or?
yeah, I'll see. Ask the audience here, like the listeners here. If you've got any more questions there, by all means, like go through and ask the questions there. So, now we'll go back to the start there. I think there was something else that was of interest there. I can't quite remember where we
Okay.
were now.
That one, no.
Ah, yes. So your parents. You said your
Oh, yeah.
parents minimalized experiences there. Like, what sort of did they sort of encounter? Did they recall?
No, well, I did ask Mum once. Mum's in a nursing home with dementia, so and my dad's passed away, so unfortunately, I can't
Ah,
even go back
okay.
there.
Unfortunate.
Um, yeah, so it is unfortunate. Now and that's why I said to my sister, well, "What do you remember these beings and why I moved into your bedroom?" But she was, of course, 2 years younger than me, so she doesn't remember. But
Yep.
interestingly, she does remember this one thing, and it just thank God someone remembers from way back then. She remembers. So I had a dream about these, whatever they are, beings. But this was a dream, and this is the last time they came to me in a dream, and I dreamt a really scary thing that they were cutting off in the whole world's ears. Right? They just chopped the ears off. What? And in this dream, they had a wheelbarrow full of ears, and that was terrifying. And so I told my sister, make sure you always sleep with the blankets up over your ears. And she'd actually said that to her new boyfriend only a couple of weeks before I'd asked her, because she remembers that thank God someone remembers this weird, you know, beings somehow that were in my life when I was 8 or 9. So it was a bit of a confirmation there too that I didn't make this stuff up, you know.
Yeah.
This was real. This was real in my reality, sort of thing, you know. So
No, it's always a good thing, like especially when you get some sort of confirmation. Like, it's like you mentioned there before, like you're having these encounters and people are still reporting sightings on the news and in the area there's something that's going on. And it's like there's obviously some sort of relation going on here. Like, but people are seeing something different though, which is like, were they in the same area as well though, or is this like somewhere in a different location?
no,
These
that's what
reports.
I mean. Like I lived in Sydney, and when I'd have like some sort of weird thing happening, I can't remember what now. You know, these dreams, I assume that I linked it to, because when I had one of these dreams, it felt like I was awake. And then on the, you know, sometimes the news doesn't report these anymore, but once they did, they'd report, there was a UFO sighting at Western Sydney, which is where I was, on around the same time, sort of thing. So I did notice that. And the last time I did have that dream, my husband's brother was staying with us, and he was sitting outside having a smoke at night, and he saw a light, a star. He said he was staring at a star and it just flew off. And I was like, well, that's the same night that I had that dream. So again, that was one of these other confirmation sort of other sightings that somebody confirmed that what I must be real and not a dream, even though it felt like a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dad's asking here, has anyone seen it with you at the same time?
Yes.
These things.
Yeah. When we were in Africa, there was lots of sightings. Yeah. My dad was seeing things in the car when we were driving. Lots of people have seen different flashes and different weird lights and different repeating patterns in the sky in the last year. Yeah. And interestingly, a girl, when I went to the CE5, she actually told me, before I told her anything, almost identical story with the two greys leaning over her, and sleep paralysis, and similar kind of thing that happened with her blanket as well, which is what I actually the blanket. I woke up with the blanket being pulled out from under my arms, but it was on the floor and then it was on me. So she had a similar kind of experience with the sleep paralysis and the greys at the same time. So sorry, that not at the same time as mine, but that she had almost identical experience, and I hadn't even told her what I'd happened to me. So so that's an interesting sort of coincidence. She never, like I said, that happened the night before, and she told me what happened a year before the next night. So so there were lots of people that saw the same thing at the same time as me. But this is what I mean, like lots of people didn't talk about it, and they'd forget about it, or they'd say don't talk about it, no, don't worry about it, it's nothing, I don't know.
Yeah,
I seem to be the only one remembering.
It's the pretty common response, isn't it? Like, people don't want to see it, really acknowledge it, unfortunately. Like, even though it's something amazing, it's like
yeah.
Even the weird thing too is like they forget all about it, like you said, like they forget about it. It's like, how can you forget something like that?
I know. It's like I'm switched on and they're switched off or something, some ways.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
It is. So again, Dad's asking, like, do you feel there's any like sort of connection with them to us, sort of thing?
I do definitely feel like that they've looked after me, especially that one grey. I feel like that I've been looked after my whole life, or followed, or cared for, or just kind of monitored, I guess. So there's that's how I feel, that there's some sort of growth, guidance, or something with me anyway. I can't speak for anyone else. Yeah.
So so I'm going to bring up Carwell now. It's like, obviously the presentation at Carwell was amazing.
Thank you.
Like that was your first presentation, wasn't it?
Yes.
You've done well.
I haven't done many of these. I've done about 4 or 5 interviews and a couple of different presentations now. I've got one on Sunday as well at Caboolture or Caloundra. I get the two mixed up, sorry. It's pretty, like I say, I feel like I'm living a whole other life, and I feel like things aren't matching what should be reality, does that make sense? So my reality has been different to other people's realities.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so what was the response after your presentation? Like, did you get many people coming up? Like, I know you mentioned there was one woman who said something similar. Like, what are the responses afterwards like that?
Well, that's definitely, she wanted to say she saw those little dark creatures as well. A lot of people actually haven't seen many things, which surprised me. That's how I started to know, because I went to that CE5 and I said to everyone, well, where's all your experiences? You guys are here for a reason. And they said, oh, my dad saw a light once. And I'm like, no, sorry, you're not understanding me. Where's all your experiences? And they were like, no, we've never had anything. We don't know anything, So that's when I started to realize that maybe my thing was significant. And with the MUFON guy, it just sort of made me kind of, it still feels like I'm telling another story that's not my life, but it is my life because
Yeah.
I've had to push it away just to deal with life in general. So it surprises me that not many other people have had the same level of experiences that I've had. But when I do hear and I find somebody that's had a similar experience, then it's like, great, oh, good, phew, that's a confirmation there too, Yeah.
Absolutely. So, like, do you sort of feel like there's like anything special about yourself? Like, that should be like why you should be chosen for this kind of
Well, I did
these
ask them
experiences?
once. I was meditating and I thought to myself, all right, I'll ask them some questions because I don't think they answer you unless you've got a question. So you have to ask a specific question. And I said, why me? And they said, we chose you because of you. And then they said, you're chosen. And I realized that's what other people have been told. And it wasn't. So it wasn't that they said they chose me. They said they chose me because of who I am, whatever that is.
Yeah, it'd be nice if
So
they elaborated.
yeah, I think they mean like because I'm just that kind of person that like I try and see the best in everybody. I try not to judge. I've been a practice manager my whole life, working in medical practices. So people can come up with me with one leg and one arm, missing, and I'm still, hi, how are you? I accept everybody in different cultures and nationalities. So I seem to be like, it's either me, that's the way I am, or maybe the ET have created me not created me, but I've developed my own personality because of what they have shown, like because they're different. So I've had to accept their differences as well. And I've seen things that aren't human. So therefore I have to accept, everyone is accepted, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Everyone
absolutely.
is respected. Everyone has a right and a place. And I find it very hard to judge people and things. So, that's obviously what they may be talking about.
Yeah, which is actually a really good trait. So a question for myself here is like, have you like actually thought about doing hypnotherapy at all?
Yeah, I have, but I just don't think I would want to know all of the ins and outs of. I think maybe I'll put that on the basket for another couple of years' time or something. But I'm still. It's not ontological shock, but I'm still dealing with the fallout of coming out. Guess what,
Yeah.
everyone? I'm an ET contactee. Sorry, you never knew. I've had to keep it secret. Surprise. you know. Oh, not sure whether I'm sure people who know me really, they know that I've spoken about things here and there, but no one really knows the full details. And for me to then turn around and go, oh, now let's dig into this more, and my brain will just explode, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, we gotta hope too. Like the person who would be doing like the hypnotherapy there is actually good at what they do, and they're not leading the story, and they're allowing
Yeah,
you to actually like come up with it. Because that's one thing I've heard a lot with people who are getting a
yeah,
hypnotherapy done is like that they're leading the story. They're giving
yeah,
you guidelines, like they're saying, "Oh, what are these beings?" And like there's no mention of beings before, and it's like, "Oh, now
yeah.
there's beings there all of a sudden," which is your brain creating the whole concept of the whole encounter, basically, which warps the whole story then from your memory.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I've been really careful about that myself. Like I've been very careful to not over elaborate and to just say the exact things that happened. So,
yeah,
and I'm not really sure whether hypnotherapy works anyway, because I just don't know. But yeah, I think I'm safer to have just my own memories for now. And maybe one day I'll extend the information more, but for now I don't think I need any further information.
that's fair enough too. No, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
fine. Like, because what you got there is that it's still amazing in itself. There, like the whole concept that you got to actually fly a bloody craft is that's the
Yeah.
coolest part of the whole damn thing. You know, like
Yeah.
it's like everyone will be jealous now. Going, oh,
I
why
know.
can't we have a
I
crack at
know.
it?
I'm waiting to maybe just get one from Roswell and come on everyone, come
Yeah,
on,
jump
we're
on
having a
in. Let's
party.
go.
Maybe I can use my consciousness and wake it up and fly
Yeah.
it with something, I don't know.
Well, make sure
Insert
you pick me up along the
portal.
way.
Yeah, exactly. Pick up everyone. We'll wake them up. We'll wake the craft up. Apparently
Bloody
they're
hell.
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, another question here from Dad. He's asked, like, has anything come across, like, with afterlife? So, has there been any information regarding that, from your end?
No, not really. Oh, well, I'm sure that there's I'm sure the world is that the universe is just an amazing multi-dimensional place. But nothing that I would specifically say that I've got my own spiritual beliefs and things like that. But I'm not going to. I can't. Speak for any other beings or anything.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. No, that's cool. Look, like, I think we'll finish up there. There's no more other questions really, but like, that's absolutely amazing with your whole experience there. Scary couple ones there, which is like very frightening, especially for a 9-year-old child as such, you know.
Yeah.
And like the fact that you got to fly a craft is like
Yeah.
cool. You know, it's
No.
absolutely
Better than
amazing.
cool.
Yeah,
I wish I remembered how to do it. I got to now remember what on earth I did. So anyway.
No, that's cool. And then, like, obviously, like everything's sort of happening through your lifetime. Like, there's got to be some questions there that hopefully will get answered for you down
Yeah.
the track here. And like, you find what
Yeah.
is so, like, I want to say, like, it's special. What is so important about you that's like,
I don't know.
gaining this sort of attention. Because
Yeah.
it seems like there's a bit of a recurring thing here where some people seem to be having these experiences there, and there's some sort of interest in these people. It's like, why? Is it something about your DNA, or is it something about
Yeah.
something that's you that's so intriguing? Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
again,
I don't know
it's
either.
absolutely amazing.
It would be interesting to find out myself.
Yeah. Oh,
Somehow.
yeah. Well, that's it. Is hoping that you do find out, and if you do find out, remember to come and hit me and go, "Hey, I found out
Yeah.
why."
I will do.
So, that's absolutely
thank
amazing. So,
you.
yeah, again, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and listen to your radio show?
It is 4EB Global Digital. I don't know the exact. Sorry.
Yeah, we've lost you. Oh, how's everything going on the other
I
end,
better
guys?
find the
Everything?
exact.
Oh.
Oops, that's just me googling. Sorry,
Oh, you're right.
4eb.org.au.
Right,
It's
cool.
called.
I'll throw in the show notes there, and everyone can find it from there.
Yeah,
And
it's called UFO Radio.
UFO
So
Radio,
you
awesome.
can listen back. Yeah.
That's cool. And your the Facebook page as well, which is UFO
Yeah.
Disclosure.
UFO/UAP Disclosure Australia. So join up and just see all the news. We've got a couple of awesome people that share lots of amazing things, evidence, and the hearings overseas, and news articles and things like that on there. So yeah,
That's awesome. Wonderful.
thank you.
No, look,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure having you on
Thanks for
there,
having
and thank you again for coming on and telling your experiences. They're absolutely amazing there, and I hope everyone enjoys your experiences there, encounters, and that. And hopefully we'll hear more from you in the future.
Thank you. Thanks, Anthony. See
No
you,
worries at all.
everyone.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining me. It was absolutely fantastic having you on here, getting involved in the chats here as well. And a big thank you to Rowan for joining me tonight. It's absolutely fantastic and amazing hearing these incredible stories. Don't forget, guys, if you guys want to, if you've had an encounter or something like that, come and join me in the podcast here, get in touch. Love to have you on. Also, don't forget you can support the show there with buying some merchandise. Got this awesome, cool shirt. I don't know if you can still see that very well. But anyway, cool stuff like that, which is available there on the online store. I think I've got a few little kinks there I've got to sort of iron out. But if you're interested there, hit me up there. I'll try and set you up in the right path there to go and get some awesome stuff there. I don't make any profits from this, so everything's all cost to you guys there because I'm not all about making profits out of it. But anyway, it's just basically just to get the brand on the shirts there, go and rock it around the streets there and go, this show's awesome. Go and check it out. That's all I'm after. You got some bumper stickers there as well, some mugs there and stuff like that. Get some awesome merch. There's plenty of variety there. But yeah, any troubles there, hit me up and I'll get you in the right path there. Also, I don't know if you know, I don't know if I can quickly get this up there, but I was actually featured in this month's edition of That's Life. If you didn't check it out, I did post up on the Facebook page there. If I might be able to go and quickly throw it up there and show you. Hang on, I might be able to do this one. If I do this little doohickey here, and it was actually really cool. So if I share that up, where's that gone? There we go. Check that out. Ha! How cool is that? I was featured in a magazine. If you haven't seen it, guys, it is this month's edition, which will probably be disappearing off the shelves there this month in a few days there. So go and grab yourself an article there and check it out, or if not, just go and check it out on the Facebook page. It's there to go and read through anyway. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It's definitely a bit of a highlight there and doing what I do there. It's pretty cool. But yeah, look, guys. Otherwise, make sure you go and hit that like button there, and then share it out to where you need to go and share it to where you feel it needs to go. And by all means, tell your friends and family about the show. But anyway, guys, I'll leave yous and love yous and leave yous. Don't forget, I will be on very shortly again in about half an hour there, 8 o'clock with Triffin from Unlocking the Code. There, we're going to be discussing everything that's been recently happening over in the US there and Mexico and NASA and all sorts of stuff. And he also had a bit of a presentation himself to go and share. So. Yeah, guys, I'll hopefully look forward to you back again there in about half an hour's time. So all the best, guys. I'll see you very shortly and enjoy. Have a good time. And till then, all the best, guys. Catch you later.